This is Justin Trudeau. No, I'm just kidding.
Hello, everyone. What's going on? This is David Palmer, Leo King. Welcome to Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast for the week of February 17th through the 23rd of 2022. How is everyone doing out there? I thought that I would give this show out for free tonight, just like I do every 2 weeks with spiritual dance music. I am doing Deep Astrology on the spiritual dance music stage here at the High Vibe TV studios. We do have a live audience tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being here, by the way. And for all of you that are joining live all around the world, super stoked to be here with you. If you don't know, this is the show where I channel the astrology to you, and then I go deep into the charts, which are brought to you by Astro Gold. If you're on any device, but if you're on PC, make sure that you check out Solar Fire. That's the same people. And if you have not joined highvibe.tv yet to get all the exclusive content, the daily content, and all the other shows that we do, make sure that you join now. I'm at the High Vibe TV studios, if you didn't know. I'm not in your mom. I'm not in Justin Trudeau's basement. I also want to say, we'll keep this show astrology right now. Well, coming into this week, I got to say, we just had this full moon in Leo that squared the nodes, very intense. We're in Aquarius season, but moving into Pisces season this week. And every morning when the sun rises in Aquarius, with the rising being Aquarius, Saturn's been there. So even though all the planets have been direct and Mars and Venus have now made their second of 3 conjunctions that are happening within a year's period, less than a year period. Remember that Mars and Venus met in Leo on July 13th of 2021. Now that they just met on this full moon on the 16th of February in Capricorn at 16 degrees. We have till March 6th until we see Mars and Venus meet again at 0 degrees of Aquarius. But the main thing has been Mars overcoming Venus. Now, for this week, we have to really go, what are the big transits now happening after this big full moon that's really been looking at how do we bring the fire back in our life? It's been an icy tundra, as I like to call it, with the sun and Saturn being in Aquarius and rising every morning. But we have this Jupiter-Neptune that finally the sun in Pisces is about to join. And so this is really the calling in your life now in these times, and especially with the transits that we're going to talk about this week. It's literally the time in your life to go, you know what? I'm at a place in my life where, man, it has been icy. We have really felt more disconnected to our world itself and to our own self than ever before. Leo is what rules the core of ourself. The sun is the ruler of Leo. And so we have not been in a sun energy. You know, I happen to listen to music from like 2005, 2006, 2007 when Saturn was in Leo. It always brings me back. That's been my secret little medicine, if you didn't know, is I love to go back there. I listen to the music. I'll try and watch even me on reality TV back in the day in my first shows with Saturn and Leo. And there was drama in life. And now we live in a world that's really cold. But the Aquarian shadow is that. The positive of this end of Aquarius here is it is about moving forward in our life and moving forward in uncomfortable ways. You know, Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, is sinister. It's one that is going to come into your life and you can just continue to say, no, it'll change, but no, it'll do things to force you to change. And the force that's coming in right now to have you change with Jupiter that's been sextiling over to Uranus and Taurus, with Jupiter and Pisces has been, what are you ready to finally surrender to in your values that are not really that worthy in your life anymore, especially that you're over holding on to, that's blocking you? The South Node in Scorpio at 26 degrees, this North Node in Taurus at 26 Taurus, right? And Algol is sitting on 26 degrees of Taurus. And so there's a part of ourselves here where it's like, are we just going to continue in our lives to just keep blocking the changes that we really want to do in our life? You know, I'm not going to lie, this full moon in Leo brought out a lot of my Leo, and it felt like especially as the full-blood Leo that I am, the pure-blood Leo that I am, I needed to let shit out. You know, it's okay in life to be a lion and roar, especially when it's an icy tundra. You know, I held it in myself, but I was driving the other day, and I looked over and I saw this couple like kissing with masks on, and I literally just was about to roll down the window and just be like, like come on, dude, put your tongue in her mouth. But that's not my place. That's the whole Aquarian thing, too. We all are trying to find our own unique ways. If that's what makes somebody else feel better, that's not my place to stop them. But when it comes to the lines right now of the tyranny you're doing to yourself, now there's plenty of tyranny going around in the world. But it's the tyranny on ourselves where we become our own Justin Trudeau and limit ourselves and create martial law and an emergency act on ourselves to not live in our happiness fully. One thing about Aquarius is, gosh, there's so many doors and it's all crazy, and it's like the moat that goes around the castle, and the secret passageways is what Uranus is. And we're all finding, where's that secret passage that I used to use in my life to get to that place that I really want to go? Why can't I access that? Or why have I been Justin Trudeau in my own life? Why have I been Joe Biden in my whole life? Why have I been Hillary Clinton? Let me just hire a lawyer and just like spy on everybody else to figure out my own secret passage to where I want to go. That's not how to do life. It's about showing up to the castle and being like, I'm not going to be afraid to ask, one, if you can bring the drawbridge down for me to let me in. And two, if I'm on the other side of the wall, I'm not going to be afraid to put the drawbridge down to people and allow them into my own castle. So this is an interesting time because as Venus and Mars are here in Capricorn together, and Mars has overtaken Venus, which is kind of like it is a rare event, but it's even more rare because Mars is exalted here in Capricorn, and it's always Venus that passes over Mars. The women always win, right? Like, as guys, we're always like, okay, what do you want me to do? My favorite joke is from Pablo Francisco when he's like, you know, when you have the crazy girl that you date and she goes, oh my God, like, why'd you give me that look? And he's like, I was just watching TV, babe. Like, I don't know. No, you gave me that look. And oh my God, right? And it starts going crazy. And you're like, I was just watching TV, you know? But then, of course, us as men, what do? Oh, we're pussy whipped. Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. You know, it was my fault. You know, oh my God, I can't believe you gave me that look. Oh. And then you see women in the back. I always see a lady, they do this, like, oh, I got him. I hooked him. This is a different one. This is where the dude's like, no, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at you weird. You're being weird. Okay? And that's a little weird. And I know we're already in a woketopia, right, where you can't talk about men and women issues anymore. I'm going to. I'm an astrologer. You don't want to talk about men are from Mars and women are from Venus anymore? Did that book get out of the liberal fucking library? That this is an amazing moment in your life, whether you are a man or a woman, to go, you know what, it's time for me to use this Mars in Capricorn with Venus in Capricorn, and let's bridge together and let's go, you know what do I want to reach for in my life that's better? And I got to take it more seriously in my life. The end of this Aquarius transit here, now that it's squared the nodes, and now that these nodes are here for this next, 17 months, it's about building a better life. Not being self-destructive either or destroying things, especially when you have Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces. That's always when we shove things under the rug. It'll be okay. He'll change next week, I swear. Or, I'll just push that onto the side. I won't deal with that for another couple of days, you know what I mean? But with that South Node Scorpio, when it finally gets there, oh God, then it becomes dark, and then we become, I just might as well destroy everything because I just don't want to have to deal with it. No, this is where... What are the things that we've been missing out on that we know are the best and the best quality? We've been maybe trying to prove ourselves too much in other areas that really are creating gaps and holes. Don't forget that Saturn and Pluto met in Capricorn, of course, with the Sun and Mercury on January 12th of 2020. And what is happening this week? Well, Mars and Venus are going to go to that hole that was created. They're going to both come to that 22 degrees in this week. And so this is a moment that you're going to notice in your life, the hole that came into your life. You're going to have to take a look at your relationships. You're going to have to take a look at all of your values and your self-worth and the things that you really, really want to connect with and really want to use this Sun entering into Pisces with Jupiter and Neptune that haven't been together, both that are the rulers of Pisces, that are going to come together in this moment here with the sun now in the same sign to make this great dream come true. They haven't come together since 1856. And I think that this is a moment for us to go, you know what? How do I not fill the hole in? How do I make myself realize that maybe it's not a hole? Maybe I'm not showing up. And maybe I had to learn differently how to approach and have more integrity in a better way of whatever that hole is in your life. Especially if you're really into astrology, look at the house that Saturn and Pluto met at 22 degrees of Capricorn. Where's 22 degrees of Capricorn in your own chart? That's where your hole is. For me, it's my 5th house in my heart. So is it something that's missing in my heart, or is it something that I have to really maybe have more integrity of? Maybe step forward into in a different way. We all have to look at it with honesty in ourselves. When I look at the astrology, which we'll go through the charts right now, I'm going to tell you this. Everything that's lining up this week, all the dominoes have been set. There's nothing more crazy for me to really talk about astrologically this week. Believe it or not, there's been so much. I'm like, do it now. Do it now. Do your life now. Make the forward movement changes. You've seen the tundra of life. You've seen where you've tried to prove yourself or whatever you tried to reach for, but at the same time, something became a hole. Something became that it's missing in our life. And we can blame it on Justin Trudeau, and we can blame it on blue states, we could blame it on red states, we could blame it on a scientist, we could blame it on China, we could blame it and blame it and blame it, but we all have to take a look at ourselves first. Because we're all feeling a hole. We all as a society, we all as a collective consciousness had the hardest hole of all time. Saturn and Pluto is not fun. It is the biggest tower card. You think the tower card in tarot is bad? Imagine if they had the world card, but then they had it with a bunch of aliens attacking it with nuclear bombs, and they had Joe Biden naked taking a shit. Saying, "Where's corn pop?" So, like, that's Saturn Pluto. It's extreme. It's an extreme hole. Like, it's like an extreme tower moment. It is the death card and the tower card together. And then when you get it in Capricorn, it's difficult. Because, it breaks structures up that you don't think will ever be broken. It also brings up the way that you whether you want to look at it as how you step forward into things with integrity, all the way to the things that you honor. It's a house of honor, Capricorn. And so we have to re-honor ourselves, and maybe we need to re-honor parts of life and people that maybe we lost honor for. It's not about filling a hole up. It's about redefining how we step into our honor more. And the number one thing about honor is realizing when you've been wrong, or when you've wronged others, or when you've not truly been the best that you can be. And once we can find that, because that's where we're gonna go through the test of relationships on who has real compassion and who really doesn't. Who really will take the apologies and who won't. Now, it's not your place to judge, it's the Almighty upstairs. But that's a hole in itself. Even when you show up with your honorable self and you admit you've been wrong in these areas and you've tried everything to patch things up and bring things to the better place in life, especially with Mercury and Aquarius still in shadow. Venus is still not with Pluto yet. We're getting close. This sun ingress into Pisces is the greatest test of whether or not the fantasy and the dream is really possible or if it's all an illusion. And it all is going to come down to your soul work and your ability to re-honor things, to bring a better new integrity to yourself. And the highest form of integrity is the humbleness and the ownership of learning and growing spiritually. So let's take a look, see what's going on. I'm going to throw up the 3D chart right now, and then we'll go into the charts real quick. And because I'm doing deep astrology, and then after at the end of this show, we're going to go right into spiritual dance music. My spiritual dance music is going to be like not as long of an intro because I'm doing this right now, if that makes sense. It's just going to go straight into cards and then just go into a prayer and go right into it. So let's take a look what's going on planetary-wise here. When we look at the 3D, this is what you miss out on High Vibe every week, by the way. I'm sure you miss it on YouTube, but they support tyranny. Just being real. So when we look out right now, this is our Earth, and we are looking at the sun. Venus is finally starting to move away, right? So we're getting almost out of that shadow of Venus. Venus is definitely past Earth finally. We've gone through the retrograde, right? We got Mercury. But if you think about it, it's Mars and Venus that are conjuncting for not only just these next couple weeks, but really almost like a month long. And that's because of this alignment right here. So I don't have a, hold on one sec. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, Justin, can you believe all these people are watching me do horoscopes? Get the Emergency Act and get rid of all the astrologers. Good job, Justin. Sleep good tonight.
So, I don't know what that was. That was a weird frequency that just came through the universe. I don't even know what I mean. Was that Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn back in 2020 with preset plans to control the world? Oh, but no. A lot of astrologers think that's impossible. Oh, so anyway, here's the Earth with Venus and Mars. All right. And so that's what the Mars-Venus conjunction looks like from a helio perspective in a 3D version of it. Now, I know all the flat earthers out there are going to be like, fuck you, Leo King. You know, I've studied both, but I'm here to tell you in a helio and using helio astrology too, this makes a lot more sense. But I could also be, I believe more in crater Earth, but that's a whole nother story. So, like, I feel like flat earthers have it right if it was crater Earth, but then they don't realize that they're still in a helio thing, and it would look like crater Earth would make it look like a round flat Earth. But you're not floating. You're on another Earth, just in a crater, and the creepy weirdos are watching us. So,
sleep good tonight. In your crater. Bigger than the crater on your face.
So that's what this is. And this is continuing on as Earth speed, Venus's speed, and Mars speed just so happen to be in that perfect way around the sun to be able to be aligned like this. Because when you look at it from like a two-dimensional view and so forth, it's really always about how it actually is more with the Earth at the center of the chart. And so I'm giving it to you from an Earth perspective. And if we see the split up that's continuing on, so we have Pluto way out there, we have Saturn out there, and we have Jupiter. And so remember that it was back when Jupiter was back here and Saturn was back here, and we had all three together. That was 2020. And on January 12th, that's when all Saturn, Pluto, and then Mercury all aligned with Earth, and it was just a lunar eclipse at the same time too, 2 days before that. So we went through this huge alignment, and that's the hole in the zodiac, okay? That's literally like if just Joe Biden's diaper hadn't ever been picked up for the last 2 years. It would be so bad and disgusting. And Trump took one there too, so it would be both of theirs together and flies on it. And we're all trying to figure out how to get that feeling away. It's really hard, right? I don't even think Melania could fix that one. So you got to realize that hole, though, it's kind of interesting because what I just showed you in the slide is Earth, Venus, and Mars are going to be looking at that spot. exactly this week. So that's why I'm bringing up this whole. So let's go into the 2D charts and show you what I mean. So we're starting this off Thursday, the 17th. By the way, if you're not on High Vibe, I do the shows now for Thursday through Wednesday now. I don't do it Wednesday to Tuesday anymore. So here we are. Sun finishing up in Aquarius here. The last degree just went through a full moon in Leo. We got this moon in Virgo here. And so these are we went through this when the sun ingressed into Aquarius. The moon was in Leo, and then it went into Virgo for a whole couple days. And here it is again, more Virgo moon, more Leo moon. And so it's interesting because if you think about, look at this, all the planets, if you take the nodes, right, 26, 26, are all on the same side of one side of the nodes, except the moon, which is not a planet. So not only this full moon, but this moon in Virgo, or any moon really, all the way from Gemini all the way here until we get into Sag, is going against this other side of things. So we live in this, the last three signs of the zodiac right now, and then we've just got Chiron and then Uranus, which of course you can't count on Uranus. I said a good joke at Conscious Life Expo. I said, they asked me to do, me and Rick Levine to do jokes, and my joke was, what is every astrologer's Achilles heel? And everybody went, I don't know. And I said, playing with Uranus. Because as an astrologer, your Uranus is the one that you don't know what it's going to do. You can't predict it in somebody's chart. It's always what you can't think of that happens. There's got to be one part in life that's unpredictable. So the only planet that's not in the last three signs of the zodiac, which is Winterfell, if you are into Game of Thrones. That show predicted all this world, very creepily weird, because all the planets are at the last three zodiac signs, which is the coldest. There's no fire, remember, in that last quadrant. I'm running an Aries rising chart so you can see. Fire starts here. But there is no fire in the last three. The winter, the reason why it's winter is there's no fire sign in the quadrant of the season. None. So trying to find the fire has been with the full moon lit, but with this moon in Virgo and with the sun finishing here in Aquarius, it's like, talk about two nerdy people trying to figure out life. That's where we're kind of at, but reminding ourselves, maybe it's not so much about how to figure things out. With all the planets directing, with Mars, Venus that have conjuncted, Mars has now overtaken Venus, and it's heading towards Pluto, and Mercury's still in shadow in Aquarius. Remember, it went retrograde at 10 degrees, and this whole week is the end of Mercury's shadow, but it's continuing. That if you're going to try and use your mind, it's not going to work. We just need to get into reality and just start making changes and adjustments and just... I'm saying with Jupiter and Neptune too, just jump into the void. Jupiter is sextiling Uranus exactly on this Thursday at 11:12, right? 11 degrees and 12 minutes. 11:11 for Jupiter right before it does. This is jumping into the void of the unknown. It's like if you did watch the movie Stargate, it's just like, well, I don't know what's going to happen on the other side, and just jump into it. But, at least kind of have the planning of Capricorn, like, well, I know my destiny is to try and shoot for ancient Egypt, probably, because I'm into that. Or maybe for me, like, let me go find Marcus Manilius and talk astrology with him a couple thousand years ago. And I don't know. At least it's about pointing yourself in the right direction with the people. This is a lot about relationships. The end of Aquarius, Venus and Mars conjunct, after just being conjunct in Leo in July, and then now switching over to Capricorn, and then to Aquarius at 0 degree where Jupiter-Saturn met on the great conjunction on December 21st of 2020. Too much is happening at that 0 degree. This is many would say that's the call to the beginning of this age of Aquarius that's been happening. And, it's the transition and what the heck, but a lot of it is about relationships and people. And Saturn in Aquarius too at 17 degrees here. it's all about trying to get to these higher degrees now of how do we interact, how do we deal with society, but more importantly, what kind of people in our life are not going to feel cold in our life, in our reality too. And it can be a little frustrating if you're going to try and play it by the typical frustrating ways. By the 18th here on Friday, Sun is in Pisces. So now every morning when the sun rises, it's with Pisces rising, and it's going to feel like, there's some relief. But it also is the last sign of the zodiac. So, some people at this point can just want to give up. And this is not a time to give up with Mars, Venus, and Capricorn. This is not a time to go escape. I'm just going to go escape into some crazy place and just not deal with life. No, we've got to deal with life. We've got a lot of Capricorn here. And I think it's really important because I think when we're looking at these transits, it's like, we're going to have this moon that's going to be opposite Neptune. We're going to have this moon trine over to Mars, Venus. I think that we can really make really positive changes. And this is kind of like a second full moon, right? What is that? That's a sun in Pisces and a moon in Virgo? Oh, that's not an exact full moon, but it's still a full moon energy of your reality and your spiritual life and how to bring these things together. And we get this moon that's going to make good aspects to the nodes instead of squaring them. So I feel like as we're coming into this weekend, there's definitely that sign of hope again. Unless we're going to go down the wrong roads, which would be, of course, being stuck into some sort of escapism or not wanting to face things with honesty, truth, integrity, and also being open to compassion, being open to understanding that people are all fallible. There is no perfect person on the planet. And how can we start having with Mercury and Aquarius and shadow after being with Pluto and Mars and Venus that are on their way to Pluto and Venus that retrograded over Pluto? Being honest. Honesty is the best policy. Neptune now is at 22 degrees as well. It's getting higher and higher up here. Remember, it went direct at 20 degrees. So here we are now having to spiritually radically go through some really foggy territory, more into the unknown. And I think that the more into the unknown we go, but with at least a targeted understanding in a place of honor and a place of allowing ourselves to find the compassion now and find the dream. Dreams aren't, I have a friend, they told me the other night, I think it was last night, they're like, I can't believe you're still up. I'm like, do you think Walt Disney fucking just drew Disneyland at fucking 9 p.m. and put down the pen and went and sat on his bed and smoked a cigarette and said, I got to go to bed? No. Do you think some of them are fucktards, so I don't want to say their names, But do you think Steve Jobs just sat in his garage and then, it's 8 p.m. I guess go to bed now? When you're in dream world and creating dreams, do you think when I created this place over the last 10 years of my life, do you think I fucking just went, it's time to go to bed? When you're in, that'd be like making the most passionate love of your life and then being like, sorry, we're going to have to stop. I have to go to bed right now. Would you still date that person? But people that are locked into this fucking loop here, especially the Capricorn loop, this is the end of Capricorn from the last 250 years of Pluto since it was here, right? So all the old ways, did you know that all the people who started this country, all the founding fathers, do you think they had their meetings not secret in the middle of the night? Or used to write their quill messages under candlelight in the middle of the night? Nothing stops dreams except yourself and schedules. That's why it opposes Virgo. So this is going to be the battle of where in my reality do I hold myself from my ultimate dream? Everything's about blocks and getting rid of them right now. That's what I keep, especially with Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces and the sun entering into Pisces. What are your subconscious blocks in society, in rules, and in your day-to-day reality of how you live your life? Especially when you live your life by the clock, not the divine clock. This weekend, Pisces, Libra moon, the moon in Libra here, getting some nice energy over to all the stuff in Aquarius, but also going to have some trouble here with the squares to Mars, Venus, and Capricorn and Pluto. But, I feel like I always used to laugh. Pisces, sun, moon, and Libra, nobody's going to know which meal to pick. Nobody's going to know what restaurant to go to. It's almost kind of like, where do you want to go? I don't know. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Didn't you say you were hungry 10 minutes ago? It can be very indecisive energy, but I think a lot of it is finding the beauty, finding the balance, and more relationship stuff with this moon being in Libra, and especially with Mars, Venus, and square to it, and with the sun now entering into the space, starting to feel Jupiter, starting to feel Neptune. Remember, the sun here is like, holy shit, the two motherfuckers that rule this place are both here. I haven't seen you two in this house since 1856 when Robert E. Lee was telling everybody that he knew what was the best for slaves to his wife in letters. Oh, I think Justin Trudeau was part of that family too. So the sun's kind of tripping out here, like the sun's getting really stoned too, right? Drugs rule Pisces, right? It's kind of like, whoa, I'm in this sea, and out of nowhere, it was like, I know that you got to be cool, son, so I'm just going to blow the DMT smoke in your face. And now it's becoming Little Mermaid and shit for the sun. Like, what the fuck's going on here? So there's a little bit of trippiness to this, but also at the same time, and in all honesty, without joking, anybody that deals with anxieties or especially derealization issues from anxiety, this can be very potent for you. And you have to realize that you are in a reality still, and you have to realize that, for those people that have panic and have a lot of that stuff, it's going to feel very outer worldly for you. And that means that you're not stepping into your reality in an outer worldly way, in a dreamy way. It's like you're sitting there and wasting your life away, not being part of the dream. That's the derealization, is the soul is not flowing with the universe. It's holding back and observing it too much. This is not a time for observation. This is a time for stepping into and changing and flowing with where the universe wants us to go, instead of creating our own false flow, which is always to the room in our bed to not deal with our problems. And by the time that we get to Sunday, it's still that Mars, Venus there, 19. The moon will exactly square that. And so I feel like this is going to start to bring up, now that the sun's out of Aquarius and now it's in Pisces. And as we're looking at what's going on, Mercury's going to be here meeting with Char and Juno while this moon's in Libra, while Mars, Venus conjunct in Capricorn. There's a lot about relationships. So this whole week's really about figuring out your relationship life, whether you like it or not, and whether or not it's part of the dream, or whether it's a subconscious thing that needs to end too, or like a really toxic situation. Can we call Britney?
Call Britney Spears. Call her up here. Where is she? We need her to play Toxic. On your lips, on a red, it is red. You're toxic. Oh, I do it pretty good, right, Britney? Thanks. So, excuse me. Are you here, Brittany?
I'm here. Yeah, it's toxic. That's the name of the song, motherfucker.
Okay, so it's very clear what's toxic, and it's very clear what's the dream. But it's very easy to be addicted to toxic right now, and that's where you have to weigh things out with this moon in Libra, square Mars, Venus, and of course, we got to be forgiving, but sometimes the best thing to do to forgive is like, it's okay that you're toxic, but I don't want to swim in your shit anymore. Thank you. And so that can be kind of a hard line for people on the judgment calls. Monday, we start this next week up with a moon in Scorpio, a sun in Pisces, with Jupiter in Pisces, with Neptune in Pisces, but this moon gonna be causing some ruckus here in its fall position. It's going to oppose Uranus, and it's going to be squaring Mercury that's in shadow, and then Saturn. So there's going to be a lot of frustration here if you're not really actually willing to let go of things that you keep holding on to that are toxic, that are not part of the divine flow, and they're not part of the dream. It's time to reinvest our emotions into places where we can create new things and move forward and build better things into our life. Not build back better, because we've never built back at the best before. So that was a nice joke in Innuendo, you know what I mean? So we do get the moon that will make some nice sextiles to Mars, Venus, but we're not seeing that till Tuesday. And so I think that when we come to Tuesday, after the moon's gone through some pretty hard aspects, and it starts making some good aspects here to Neptune and to Mars, Venus, Monday's really like, okay, you had this big weekend to really look at all these things about your relationship life and what's toxic, what to let go. And then Monday's kind of like the...
Did you listen? Oh, sorry.
Oh, there, that's much better. Did you listen or not? The judgment of the universe and the dark energies of a moon in Scorpio that you won't let go. If I were to play all the moons in a sign, this is what your moon is. If anybody has moon in Scorpio, this is your emotion. I will not let you go. I know you're talking to somebody else. I saw you like that Instagram post. Take me back, please. I know that you're talking to that person. I will kill them.
That's Moon in Scorpio. So we got to be very careful with this one. Remember the compassion and letting things go. But I think by Tuesday we finally can have a much better grip on this. Especially as this North Node is still with Algol through this whole week. Don't become the demon star. Don't become that demon star. When we finish this week off on Wednesday, a sun moon. It's going to be a paradise / carnival. Whenever it is Pisces and Sag and the square of the moon to the sun, it is crazy time. It's going to feel like everything is like all over the place. And what better time for that in our lives? And I feel like this is going to be a part where we go without a South Node in Sag, without any planets in Sag now, and with the sun now with Jupiter and Neptune and with this moon being in Sag, it is really the Alice in Wonderland story. Now it might seem crazy. I'm going to walk through these doors, Mars and Venus. Where are they at? Oh, that's right. They're right where the hole is. We're going to call this hole, not the band. Somebody got it. Whatever happened to them? I guess they got lost in a hole. But the carnivals have good donut holes, if you don't know about that. So, Vesta's there at the same time with Mars, and that's like how we commit to things. It also is where we come up with excuses, too, of where we don't commit or shows ourselves of our commitment issues. So here's this committing energy that's being asked in our lives about our path and relationships and facing this hole. And I think that we end this week with this, like, if it feels more like Alice in Wonderland in a carnival and you're like, this seems crazy, I'm just going to go into this crazy, wild, imaginative place with an open book and an open story and let the past go and step into the positivity and open the doors and recommit myself to committing to that it's not a hole, that I have to show up now, and it's a change of integrity. It's a realization of what needs to change in my life to build a better structure in my life, then this is the right place. But if you're like, no, I'm going to stay away from that, and I'm perfect, and I never did anything wrong in my life, and I'm so right, I am the best person in the whole world, you're going to be in the hole all by yourself with the carnies. And it's not going to be Alice in Wonderland. It's just going to be that weird guy that went,
take the DMT, I'm blowing it in your mouth. Oh, wow, that's really trippy, dude. And then you
wake up and nobody's there. I thought I saw Terrence McKenna, dude. Like, fucking, that was wild, bro. And so you want to stay away from drugs right now and alcohol with North Node and Algol and with all these planets in Pisces. Especially the biggest planets in Pisces that you could have, and with the sun here, and with the moon. And don't create a drug-filled love story either. Like, God, that ecstasy is so good. I fucking love you. As Eminem says, that's how Haley was born. So, last chart's the Helio here. Venus going to be exiting out of Virgo this week and stepping into Libra. So this really is the relationship time. And remember, this is the sun at the center of the chart. And we got Mars here in Sag, and we're not seeing that bad of aspects here. Mars is going to square Neptune, so it is kind of feeling like we are going through the void of the adventure in our life. We have Jupiter and Uranus actually sextiling exact. And Uranus finally coming to 14, Saturn here at 16. The Saturn-Uranus square is starting to wane off, or at least dissipate. And we've got Jupiter-Uranus that are banging out this awesome sextile. Mercury going to be flying through Scorpio this week. So that's why I'm saying be honest, be true, get to the root of things, get to the depth. And we're going to get Mercury sextile over to Venus too. And the Helio, we're going to get Mars going through Neptune. And we're going to get Jupiter, Uranus with a big explosion of awesome things. So I think that this is an awesome time in your life. If you're going to just sit around and waste your life, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun. But I think the best advice I can give you is with everything, especially dealing with honesty, realizing that nobody's perfect and everybody is learning about the holes in their life that they have created, but at the same time that they've had to learn from. Then you know what? The true compassion and the true understanding can actually show up to open the dream. Like, it's not easy to build a Disneyland in life. And there's always going to be pressure and people that aren't happy and pressure to even do it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's worth it, and having to understand, because there's nothing better than coming together at the end of your dream of whatever it might be and looking at each other and looking at the people involved and looking at it and go, we fucking did it. And I think people are forgetting about that. Everybody's looking at the problems at the start. And so my way of ending this deep astrology for this week is that maybe not pay so much attention this week thinking there's some big transit happening when they've already kicked into gear. And it's what you're going to do with it. And it's whether or not you're going to make changes and move forward and start building and creating and making the dream happen and opening yourself up to a soul experience that can be an experience of that dream, instead of, you know, I'm going to stay in again and do the same thing I always do. Oh, it's time to go to bed. I'm about to come, but it's really intense, I know, but I got to go to bed. My dog needs to take a shit. Like, let the dog take a shit. You know what I mean? There's fucking Clorox. Stop fucking up your life. And I hate to say it, especially with people with heavy Capricorn shit, and especially this young generation has a shit ton of it there, and they're all older. All the grandmas are out there dancing and doing crazy shit at the fucking homes and fucking we might die and whatever, and all these young kids are out there fucking. I can't. You know, it's time to love the way that everybody moves in their life, instead of, if you don't like the way somebody moves and it's not hurting humanity, then you let it go. But when they're tyrannical assholes, you still got to be a rebel with Mercury and Aquarius and with Saturn and Aquarius and stand up for humanity. I appreciate you all so much. We're going to go into spiritual dances, but we are going to end this show right now. Thank you so much for being part of Deep Astrology. Make sure that you subscribe to highvibe.tv. Truly appreciate it. Sending you my best throughout this week, and I hope that that dream for you is not blocked by your own selfish, insecure, and let's just be real, tundra-loving, cold-loving, boring ass. I'll see you on the next Deep Astrology.